Well, it was a blizzard today and yesterday. It's funny, a lot of people ask me what I wear, what kind of boots I got. I definitely don't, I'm not the product guy, right? But it's just common sense. Dressing for this weather, common sense. Never wear anything that retains or absorbs water. And wear at least 3 layers plus of synthetic material. So, but what do I wear? I wear a first layer. I wear merino wool, long underwear, and a top, t-shirt, merino wool top, long sleeve shirt, and then I'll wear a synthetic pullover, and I'll wear a pair of fuzzy synthetic pants, and then I wear this, which is synthetic, and then I'll wear these, which is synthetic as well. They're like a no-tear thin layer, but everything dries very fast, including this jacket. I've had this jacket white today twice. And I just shake it off. I'm not wet at all. I'm not wet anywhere. I've been doing this all day, every day. Quite comfortable, actually. It's just that wind that bites you in the face. It can be a little annoying. What else? Quick mention. Had somebody recently who's shared some information with me ask me if I worked with other channels or other people in the so-called community. Bigfoot community. I don't, not one, nobody, nada. And I don't even watch, I don't watch YouTube, actually. Obviously I don't have time to watch much. But no, I definitely do not have any ties to anyone in the Sasquatch community. No one. And the only people I share with is you guys. That's it. I have a couple of friends who are friends of mine who you know of, and we rarely even talk about Sasquatch, to be honest. But I do not. And just for a quick recap, back when under pressure from all of you, I finally came public and admitted that I had seen these things. I knew of them and knew quite a bit about them, just due to people I know who have seen them firsthand. And just so all you know, I got jumped on online. Anybody and anybody who ever had a name in, what did I say, low battery? This battery's gonna die. Anybody and anybody who had any kind of a page on YouTube or whatever, or past history with this topic, was desperately tried to get a hold of me numerous times. I had one lunatic for back. He actually even tried to get a hold of me a couple times, tried to get someone else, a woman, to get a hold of me for him. And I never replied to any of them once. I didn't even reply. No interest. Sorry. Didn't reply to any of them. And one after the other, every single one of them started to try to attack and discredit my character. Every single one of them. All right, just so you guys know, that's truth, that's fact. Did I reply to any of them even though they were doing that? Not once. Not once. Never mentioned their names online before, previous, after, never have. Even today, I get people that email me and tell me all about how if my name gets mentioned on certain Sasquatch community YouTube pages, the comments get deleted and they get blocked or some damn thing. I guess I must be public enemy number 1. There goes the phone. There we go. So anyway, I guess I'm public enemy number 1 of the community, which is fucking fine with me. Right? Never asked to join, never would. I never tried to attack and discredit anyone's character either, all right? If I want to fight with somebody, I'm going to fight with them. And I'm going to take it up with them in private, directly to them. You know what I mean? So there's a note to all you pussies out there who still try to attack my character and discredit me. Get a hold of me. Get a hold of me, man, the fuck up, all right? But anyway, sorry about that. All I'm saying is, I've been out here in the middle of nowhere by myself. The language is free-flowing. There's very little of it out here. But anyway, so there you go. No, I don't. What the hell's wrong with this damn phone? I'm using my old phone. I don't know if I'll be able to pull this off or not. Anyways, no, I have no association with any group, any page, anybody at all. End of story. Now, we're into my new phone, so that means we get to listen to some guaranteed, never heard before stuff. There's piles of it on here. I can see if I can possibly get my old phone on Wi-Fi this evening and get something shared up. But listen to this. Steve, Please, could you do a call out of sorts? I'm interested in seeing if a theory of mine has any validity. All right. Back in the 80s, my brother had an encounter while walking the railroad tracks in order to egress an old overgrown orchard from downhill. So we're going to be thinking about how our railroads cut through our planet. They're off the beaten path and something most of us pay little attention to. It's a fact that creatures with a brain will walk the path of least resistance to get to where they're going. I have a theory that many of these beings use these as a superhighway of sorts to get to new territories or whatever they are wanting to do. It would be interesting to do a call out to see if there are any railroad worker types that need to vent. Surely there must be some of those folks who have some information and knowledge to share. I have no doubt that Sasquatch has figured out that the train is easily avoided and gives plenty of warning of its approach. Just wonder how many times they've been spotted by railroad engineer folks, or how often they play chicken while traversing the steel rails. I hope you have the time to read this and give it some thought. I see this is an area where we can learn a lot about their behaviors. My theory is correct. All right, well, I gave a shout out to some railroad employees a while back, urging them to share what they got, because many of them, and sure enough, we get a handful of them emailed in and shared exactly what they've seen, which is lots of sightings of these things. Also, we recently had somebody comment that they seen one clinging to the back or the side of one of these cars, getting a quick hop down the tracks. But as far as them needing assistance and getting anywhere, my thoughts on that, not saying that I'm right about anything, but my thoughts are they don't need anything to assist them in any way. When you have a being whose footprints can end abruptly, and no one knows knows what happened, where that footprint maker went, that tends to let me know that they have no problem being somewhere when they want to be there. That's just me, though. All right. So whenever I hear about these things being referred to as simple game animals or human-type beings, 100% similar to us in how to get around, that thought comes to my mind fast, is about how they can, or how they're, sorry, it's sort of gunshot, how their tracks end, disappear. That's a little alarming. And anything that can do that, has no problem getting from A to B, I would imagine, right? Missing piece? Question mark. Hey man, big fan of the channel. I'll make this quick. Currently a respiratory therapist. We are nicknamed the Grim Reapers of the hospital. We are part of every rapid response code blue trauma and terminal extubation in the hospital. A nurse will see a handful of patients die in a long career, and I've had 9 die in a single 12-hour shift. The topic of death, spirits, and dimensional beings get brought up frequently. The RTs that have had frequent spiritual encounters, whether inside or outside of work, all have a specific vibration about them. Some common traits I've seen about these individuals is an ability to read energy, the ability to see into the future, and trypophobia. People with trypophobia have a strong physical and emotional reaction whenever they see patterns made up of holes or spots. The bigger the cluster of circles, the more uncomfortable they feel. I've been told that having this phobia is associated with having the power to read a person's vibration and predict the future. This power has been known to attract dimensional beings. Maybe another puzzle piece. Steve. Holy shit, Steve. Thanks for that share. And there's enough people watching this channel now. I'm sure you're going to knee-jerk somebody into replying to that. As far as a reply from me, that's way out of my field, man. Way out of my field. I'd have to do a little digging to look into that and gain some knowledge on it before I could actually comment on that. But that sure sounds interesting as hell to me, man. Thank you so much for sharing that. I'm sure somebody's going to touch in on it. What do we got here? That phone keeps on saying low battery, so we'll keep going. Maybe it's going to die. Los Padres National Forest. Dear Steve, thank you for all you do. This channel really helps my mental health. My name is Tyler, and I'm an outdoorsman from California. My favorite thing to do is go into nature and identify the flora and fauna. I love nature, and I feel that being in the forest is medicine for the soul. Oh, this is a real long one. All right, let me start off by reading your first one, and then we'll probably have to do your other 2 later, okay? Story number 1. March 31st, 2014, Los Padres National Forest near Big Sur. the day that changed my life forever. I was deep in Los Padres National Forest on the coast of California with a friend searching for mushrooms. The fungal life just wasn't popping off like I had hoped. I think it was too early after the rains for the mushrooms to start growing. We decided to hike back 5 miles towards a waterfall to see if it had any flow. This particular waterfall only flows when we get some solid rain. This hike follows a creek the entire 5 miles to the waterfall and is thick with oak, sycamore, California bay laurel, and tons of poison oak. The creek runs into a canyon with steep forested hills on both sides. We arrived at the waterfall to discover it was nothing but a trickle. We were a little bummed out, but decided to hang out for a couple hours to eat our lunch and to look for snakes, turtles, newts, and salamanders. Plus, the view from on top of the water was breathtakingly beautiful. We decided to head back as we only had enough daylight to get back to my truck. As soon as I put my backpack on and took a couple steps, my friend grabbed me by the arm and asked me if I heard that. I turned around and said, "Heard what?" He told me he heard a grunt up the hill. He had an alarmed look on his face. I told him, "Stay close to me if a bear or mountain lion comes out of the forest. Do exactly as I say." We then continued down the trail, and immediately a rock about the size of a golf ball came flying from our right-hand side through the trees towards us. It hit branches and leaves up high and then landed on the side of the hill and rolled down next to our feet. I looked at my friend and smiled. I yelled up the hill and said, "F you, stop throwing rocks." I'd eased my mind a little because I thought it was a couple of kids messing around. We continued down the trail for about 5 minutes when another rock came flying from the same side, again landing by our feet. This got me thinking, who's keeping up with our pace in thick poison oak filled forest without making a noise just to throw rocks at us? The trained military personnel couldn't even accomplish this, but that's what I was beginning to think. Why is this Marine or whoever this is doing this? I peered deep into the trees, scanning for any movement or signs of people for about a minute. I was even looking for a ghillie suit. I then noticed the forest was super quiet. You could hear a pin drop. We then continued down the trail, but this time I was watching the forest so I could catch this person in the act. After about every 5 minutes down the trail, a rock would get thrown. This person was still keeping pace with us from inside the trees. About 30 minutes later and several rocks later, we turned a bend in the trail and I saw the biggest damned footprint smack dab in the middle of the trail. This footprint was not there when we hiked up the trail. I wear a size 9 boots and this thing was over 2 times the size of my boots in width and length. I could clearly see all 5 toes. The footprint was aimed up the hill where the rocks were coming from. It came from the creek. For the very first time in my life, I was thinking Sasquatch. My friend didn't talk much, but he said, "That looks like Shaq's footprint." That's where it gets weird, Steve. I reached into my pocket to get a cell phone to take a picture of the footprint next to my boots. Before I could unlock my phone, I heard a stern voice in my head, what sounded like a large man telling me to go. And then he then said, "Run." I suddenly felt as if I was being watched, and I felt as if my life was in danger. It was a feeling I've never felt before in the forest. I looked at my friend and said, "We gotta get out of here, man." We both speed walked the entire way back, and that feeling of being watched didn't leave until we reached my truck. The first 20 minutes of the drive were in total silence. I then spoke out and said, "I think the footprint and rock throwing was a Sasquatch." My friend said he didn't want to talk about it. I think he was afraid of the ridicule as he worked with children. I tried bringing it up again another time, and he just wasn't having it, so I left him alone about it, and we never spoke about it again. That night, I went home and Googled, "Does Bigfoots throw rocks?" To my surprise, there were hundreds of stories, and then I told my girlfriend of 5 years the story, and she didn't believe me and laughed at me. That's pretty weak. I then felt like I was going crazy because I had nobody to talk to about it, so I looked online to see if I could find a hotline or something to tell my story. My then, at the time, naive self found a number connected to the douchebags at the BFRO. I dialed the number to tell my story. I was excited and nervous. My heart was pounding out of my chest as the phone rang. Some guy answered and I began to tell my story. He cut me off at the beginning of my story and asked me where the encounter took place. I replied, "Los Padres National Forest." He then said thanks and hung up on me. He clearly didn't care about me, only the location. I began spending all my time reading about and searching for proof of Sasquatch. I was in the woods 500% more than I used to be. I had more rock throw encounters, heard wood knocks, saw more footprints, saw the tree structures they make, etc. This took over my life. I became obsessed. I began drinking a lot and lost my job and my girlfriend of 5 years ended up leaving me. I came to the realization that my obsession ruined my life. I lost the girl of my dreams because I stopped being a good man to her. I decided to start backpacking as much as possible, as it helped get my mind off her. I backpacked all over the Sierra, Yosemite, and Lost Powder National Forest. Now fast forward 5 years to story number 2. All right, we're gonna leave it there. I think the snow's building up on that phone. Thanks for sending that, man. It's, obviously, you know you're not alone when it comes to people becoming obsessed with these things. And we've watched how many people are obsessed with these things? We watch them, right? How many shit-eating truth reveal stories have you heard about that sack of shit organization? Dozens and dozens and dozens, right? So let all these emails be a lesson to everyone watching and listening, all right? And take from what you will, leave them. And it's unfortunate, man. Alcohol, it's funny how many people turn to alcohol for some kind of comfort when it actually does the opposite. Getting out here and doing this is what clears the mind. You push yourself, work yourself, exercise, eat right. When you're feeling low and like you've been kicked to the nuts about 50 times, you get up and you move your body and you eat healthy and you do healthy activities, and that's what you do, everybody, all right? I would say to forward this email to your ex-girlfriend, but it's probably a little of no help by now, so we'll let her be, right? Anyway, I'll finish the rest of your email later. I hope I didn't rush through that one too quick, but I'm in the middle of a blizzard right now. I want to go down to this certain trail for the last seeing light of the evening. Here we go. There it goes. This isn't a waterproof type jacket. It's just synthetic. See that? It doesn't hold the moisture. It doesn't really cling to it. It's good stuff. See you guys in a bit.